Okay. Well, but the sound is all good for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, for inviting me. That was I like the interwoven humor, from the beginning of this meeting. You guys look like you know how to put a smile on your face, so that makes me feel a little bit comfortable. I we have, do you want me to go to questions? There's a couple questions popping up, or you want me to I'll just start talking and then we can go to questions in a little bit. I was bred and buttered in San Francisco, California, the Bay Area. I lived most of my youth. Had to go to junior college with no options to play college football. Went to City College of San Francisco. Was able to earn a scholarship to the University of Hawaii, which is my alma mater. And from there, tried I I tried various options to make money playing this game, and everyone seemed to have the same opinion of me. So that ran out after a few years, and really was unsure of what I was going to do after football left. It was my whole life for a long time, and um, got into coaching high school, and kind of got the bug when I got to coach my brother's high school senior season. Um, Coached at the JC level, did 4 years at the University of Hawaii as a position coach and a coordinator, 4 years at the University of Nevada, as a coordinator, and then just finished up 4 years at the University of Hawaii as the head coach. And very excited to be able to represent all Cougs and be in Pullman coaching this football team. I think they continue to impress me with the obstacles that they have overcome and continuing to have a real positive mindset. So I have a wife and 4 children that are also enjoying the Palouse. They they are enjoying the seasons, but uh, I heard you mention Coach Leach, and it's funny. He called me today from Africa, so I'm sure he wants me to tell everyone hello. He's on one of his missions, but um, we've been friends for a few years. I had never um, really been to campus. I During my coaching at Hawaii, I got to play at the Kibbe Dome versus Idaho, and got to see a little bit of the area. But um, he spoke a lot in our conversations, which I'm sure most of you know can go very long. But he spoke a lot about the character of this place, the fun-loving nature of all Cougs. Um, but there was also a real element of hard work, and also in the enjoyment of life. And that has, from what I've been able to experience, has been very true. Um, I'm here looking at Martin Stadium, which we coached one game in with nobody in the stands, and um, I really look forward to seeing all the myths, urban legends, the experiences people that they talk about game day here, is something that I really look forward to. So um, looks like we're coming towards a more normal season, which which I think would be wonderful for everybody. So um, one of the things talking to Doug maybe that might be of interest is how um, we have dealt with COVID, and what this team has been through, from everyday testing to we have team meetings in the bubble because of space. We have not had a team meeting in a year in our building. We have not met in our meeting rooms. We're using the press box for meetings. Um, Weight room is sliced up into less numbers to try to keep space. Doing, last summer we had all of our training outside. We built racks and tents, so the open air and the guys could get their work in. The facilities people, I mean, yes, it was hard on a lot of people, but what Sean Deeds and his crew, how they midstream adjusted and really tried to make it as best as we could for our players, I thought was a tremendous effort. And then that's just one element of it, right? But you have to consistently um, monitor these young people's mental health with what's going on, and going to online school, going to very limited access to, you know, a normal college life. So I commend the young men a bunch, and everyone that's had to make adjustments to their life. But um, one way we did that was to tell them, look, everyone's life in this country has changed due to COVID. For 2 hours at practice, you guys get to go back into the past and live like we all used to know, and try to turn it to a real positive aspect when they approach practice. I think they really grabbed it. I think there's been an incredible amount of love built between the players on this team. Um, one of the voids I kept hearing was a void of leadership. Um, we're seeing a much. I got a text from Liam Ryan today, and he says, "Coach, can we?" They're doing what we call player run practices, and they're doing some drills on their own, and they are really taking it serious. And they have, and his only text back was me, Coach, we have goals this year, and we want to do this thing right. So they're a wonderful group to coach. I mean, I think the culture is, I'm not going to say a 180, but I think has definitely gone in a positive direction for my outlook on what a football team and how they should treat each other. We've had some real elimination of selfishness. We've, I like the Cougs versus everybody mindset. I like kind of we don't get maybe all the attention that some other people get, but um, what has been able to be done with nobody in the stands, nobody on campus, as I think this team has become very close in trusting each other and counting on each other. And I think that's just going to really pay dividends as we enter into the season and into training camp. Training camp is going to be a little bit different because, as many of you know, the rosters have been expanded due to the extra year of eligibility for um, all of our student athletes. So all the seniors coming back. Uh, we had a group of freshmen and coming up from the high school ranks. We will be at right around 140 players on the football team, which is much higher than anything that I've been around. You hear these stories of the old Nebraska days where they had a couple of teams and their walk-on program was so strong. But one thing we really wanted to do when we got here, and it was important when we were at Hawaii, is the importance of the in-state player. Now, I'm not going to say that it's completely turned, but one way we felt we could do that is we feel there's a lot of um, really quality players that know what the Apple Cup's about, that know what Washington State's about. The Coug alums throughout the state and the region, I think, really speak for their actions and how they treat people and how much they love their Cougs is one of the best recruiting tools we have. Um, a lot of these young men want to see what that's really about, and so I commend all Cougs in the crowd and on Zoom for living the right way. And but for us to move forward, you know, we got to win football games. We got to win big football games, and we got to play clean football. So um, we will. June is quickly approaching, which is the first time the NCAA has opened or lifted the dead period in quite a long time. We will be able to get off of campus to go to different camps at various colleges. We will hit everywhere from Georgia, Florida, Dallas. Um, we will hit California. We will hit a couple here in the Northwest. I don't know, I got to watch compliance on what I can talk about, but there's a couple really nice camps in the Northwest that we will hit also. But it also allows the first time for us to, in a long time, have um, prospects and their families come on campus or to Pullman for official visits. So it's going to be a crammed month for us. It's Everyone's really excited to get back to doing what we're used to doing. Um, and then we get started in early August with training camp. But going back to the 140 players, now that gives you a lot of options. I'm big on teaching. I'm big on reps. I'm big on developing um, young players. I don't think there's very many quick fixes in this business. There may be one or two every now and then, but um, the transfer portal was big news this year, which we will monitor. We hired I think, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think we hired the first director of transfer recruiting, which would include the transfer portal, which will also include junior college and prep schools. But it also where I feel some schools, I hope everyone understands what the transfer portal means, but it means these young men could choose to leave an institution at any time and transfer to another institution and be eligible to play. So I'm big on truth. I'm big on not, I think truth's the best way to put it. But treating our players the right way while they're here, the game of retention comes into play. I think you'll see some mass exoduses from other programs, but it really has changed the outlook on um, all of college football. We have had some attrition. I'm very aware of it. Um, I'm I'm fine with these kids having the ability to play wherever they want and move one time with a transfer, but I am not. If you choose to leave this program, my personal rule is, well, then we are parting ways. There's no go test the water. There's no this, that, you make your decision. The problem is I don't think our young people are completely educated on all the pitfalls of the portal. You're looking at 5,000 young men from college football alone entering the transfer portal this last year, or in maybe it was a year and a half when they first jumped in. That means 5,000 young men who, and I promise you, with the math, the way scholarships work, and not everyone gave up a scholarship, but some did. There's not the same amount of scholarship opportunity across the nation because there's more in the portal than scholarships available, I guess is the easier way to put it. And the sad part about that is there's a percentage of those young men that will not continue college because their scholarship was their opportunity to go to college. And I think we're starting to look at that as I think that's starting to come to light in the NCAA, and I know coaches are concerned about taking away opportunities of scholarships for young guys. So um, roster size, well, that's, I'm going back on the roster size. This could give us some real ability to be creative. I know, where are you? I know I've seen you. Where are you at? Jimmy D with your Husky logo on there. You can take notes if you want to, but I think this will give us a lot of really good opportunities to be creative with how we practice, how we get a lot of reps in, maybe overlapping practices, and it'll be a little more work for the coaches. But I think in the long run, we will get more work in, and hopefully have more guys ready to play as we get into the season. Especially with 9 straight, we have to have some depth, especially at quarterback. I think we need to have 3 ready to play that we feel confident in. And Jimmy D, can anybody mute Jimmy D? Can we take him off the chat? Just playing, Jimmy D. I appreciate the rivalry very much. That is something that I haven't always been a part of in my time as a college player or coach. I think it really brings some real spirit to the game, and even living in the region. I enjoy it very much. I understand the recent history. That's why I'm going to make it a priority. I'm going to talk about it. I love it. I learned that from Chris Alt, and Chris Alt at the University of Nevada. They really dislike UNLV, and so he even took the red plates out of the exit signs and made them green because there was no red allowed in the building. So it's one of the special things about college football rivalries, and I'm proud to be part of this one. I would be remiss if I didn't shout out to some of our Yakima, Mr. Colney Castle, who played for us at Hawaii, has doing an incredible job as a young coach. He's very knowledgeable. One thing to think about, there's not a ton of people that run the run and shoot, and I think he's got a bright future in front of him with the knowledge he has and his work ethic. So, and then kind of the glue of our offensive line, Brian Green, who I think also comes from Yakima and your guys' area, who is awesome to be around. He's so funny because I have him and Brian Green, our baseball coach, in my phone, and I've texted Brian Green, our center, multiple times. Hey, coach, good luck. Nice job in recruiting. And he plays it off so funny. He says, "Thanks, coach. I'm trying my best to stack this team." He's got a really good humor to him, and he's doing a really nice job. And I think one thing Brian Green reminds me of, and what we're trying to do, and I know Doug, I think, mentioned it in the opening, is yes, we got to win football games. I get it. But the reason I like college football is there's still an age where they're somewhat moldable as they enter into leadership roles into this world, and I want them to think about how they will be as a father, how they will be as a husband, set those goals, visualize that stuff. And if they don't want to, that's fine, but they will have no choice but to be a member of the community they choose to reside in. And if they don't want to have kids or don't want to get married, they still need to think about having a positive impact on their community. So that is very much intertwined into our messaging. That's very much intertwined into our staff hires. That's very much intertwined into the goals of these young men, and we talk about it. I like them seeing, our coaches' families around. I like them seeing after practice, one of our coaches goes up, hugs his wife, kisses his wife, says hi to his kids. That makes a difference in young people's lives, especially some that may have not experienced that as a young kid. So I think it's important. I think it's good for the world, and I am very proud to coach this team at this university, and I hope I can make all Cougs proud by many wins, but also by the way we play. I am very aware that a lot that can be seen from the stands or on TV are just simple human body language, and I think people really can see the closeness of a group by the way they act. I mentioned earlier, selfishness has no part in this game. They can go be golfers if they want, or go play ping pong if they want. But we strive to be with effort, and we strive on being unselfish and having a collective goal. So I hope I didn't ramble too much for everyone. Is there anything else that can we move into questions so I don't just bore everyone, or is there anything I can answer for everyone?
Coach, thank you so very much for speaking to us today. We would like to open it up for questions from audience members. So again, please come on up to the microphone, and then Carolyn will help with some of the questions on Zoom chat.
Okay.
Hi, Coach. I just wanted to ask you a quick question about television.
Yes.
And how much pressure do you feel as the head coach, or do you really get involved in the whole aspect of television revenue and how important that is to the university? What kind of pressure do you feel with that?
I don't take any of that pressure with me. The only thing I try to stay in my lane somewhat. I understand that's part of the deal, but the only thing with TV is I want to make sure that um, our players, the players, um, I'm against 8 o'clock games or night, whatever they're trying to do. I just think getting a young man up at 4 a.m. to go play a football game at 9 a.m. for TV, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. But I do understand that it's part of the revenue, and I'm up for discussions. I like to include the team in these thoughts. I believe that the players should have some ownership in the direction and some decisions. Now they can't make every decision. I understand that, but including them, and not that I include them on TV. I'm not really included on TV conversation. So just the realization that that is part of it at this level and at this school and in this conference. But I do think including the team in discussions, various discussions, are important, and I will continue to do that. So.
Okay, I have a question that came from the Zoom meeting. And Coach, where do you feel the new Pac-12 commissioner will take the conference?
Well, obviously has some history outside of football in the media, which is something I think most people know we need to improve on. I hope I don't know where he's going to take us. I hope that we go to a very unified uplifting of the conference mindset. I think, the opportunities ahead with the TV deals. Again, there's a lot of details that I'm not privy to and really don't care to know at this point. But the opportunity coming up in the media rights, I think is going to be one of his greatest tasks to be right with. So excited to meet him. Heard he's got I believe a son playing basketball in Walla Walla. So he says he's going to be up here more often. I did have a text exchange with him, but I'm sure he's running around trying to organize everything and get set up. But I'm sure happy and confident in with President Schultz being involved in that search. I think he's got the right mindset and has a very good outlook, very composed demeanor, and I think him being involved only gives me confidence that we're heading in the right direction.
Okay, I've got another one. Jack Thompson chided Coug fans who were worried about the state of the program after Mike Leach's departure as having a loser's mentality. How important is having a winner's mentality?
Well, I'm not necessarily aware of what Jack said and maybe where that came from, but I'm a big believer in having a winning mentality, I mentioned visualization. I think if you imagine great things happening, you consistently talk to yourself in a positive manner instead of listening to the negative voices that we all inherently have in our head just due to our natural survival instincts. I'm big on talking to yourself positively, and we talk about that a bunch. I know I do it daily, and it's gotten me this far, and I've had success believing that way. That came from playing for Jude Jones, and he at Hawaii, and he told all of us, just before you close your eyes tonight, visualize yourself doing great things tomorrow on the field. And maybe it's not exact like deja vu, but you will put yourself in a mindset to be ready for when those opportunities come, and you'll succeed that way. And that came true for me. That came true for a bunch of our teammates. And I think he was ahead of his game in the positivity he preached with the team. We try not to attack people. We want to attack problems. And I think June in early 2099 he probably did it before that, but I think he was onto something, and I think I feel better prepared moving into the next phase of college football because of that opportunity that he taught me.
We have another one here in the room for you.
Okay.
Hi, Coach. Nancy Leahy speaking. Could you tell us what the stadium capacity will be this year and how they're going to issue seats? And then also, how do people get their tickets?
I have, Nancy, nice to meet you. I have zero answers for those questions. I apologize. Do you have another question I may be able to answer?
She's walked away dejectedly like the rest of us have already. We do have another question.
Okay.
Coach, my name is Jim Berg. The question I have relates to what impact, if any, do you think the 2020 abbreviated season in the in the Pac-12 might have on the conference as we move forward? I know that our conference had fewer games, started much later than most of the other conferences in the country, and I wonder what you think if there's going to be some long-term fallout as it relates to recruiting in the future and that sort of thing. So thanks.
Well, that's a good question, and that has come up. I think, well, I know that schools in other regions have poked at that in recruiting. They're trying to poke at the confidence of the reliability of the Pac-12, and you know, personally, I don't get into that a whole lot. I know that's like I said, that's being tried, but I took it as an incredible opportunity to see our team under fire in real adverse situations every single day. And I think going through that has put us in the position I kind of described of the leadership growth and the all-in mentality of everybody in the locker room. So, I think if it continues to be a problem in the next few years, we probably are going to have a bigger issue on our hand. But I don't think anybody can really blame anybody for doing what they thought was right in terms of health and safety.
All right, I think that wraps up our question and answer period. I want to thank you, Coach, very much for taking the time to be here today in this unique format and way. We certainly hope to welcome you back here in person to Yakima, but we did want to make a gift in your name to our Yakima Rotary Charities to thank you for speaking today.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for having me. And like I said, a couple of your own with Conley Castle and Brian Green are representing the values of your community on a daily basis in a very positive way. So is there any way you can take that donation and give Jimmy D some hard times for me? Is there any way you can manipulate that money to just playing Jimmy D? Love you, bro.
Coach,
Here-
I appreciate that. Maybe you should, what you should
here we go.
know.
Hey, Jimmy D, question and answer is over, brother. Somebody mute this guy.
What you should know is my daughter just graduated from Washington State University, and she was on the athletic training program for the football team last year there, and she is going to go to the University of Washington and get her doctoral degree. So she's going to be a half Husky, half Cougar. So she's going to carry on the tradition. So thank you.
Be very proud. You should be very proud, Jimmy D. Awesome. Thank you guys very much. And I hope maybe we can do this again.
Well, thank you very much, Coach, for joining us. So we have our last segment today, which is Rotarians Are Going Places with Sherry Green. Sherry.
I'm not as tall as a football player or a basketball player here. Thank you, President Jennifer, for letting me be a part of the program today. And thank you to all the Cougs here also. We're going to continue the talk about Cougs a little bit since that's our theme. I know that we have a lot of alumni and supporters here. So I should have 3 slides to share. And the first slide, we're going to start with congratulating Nancy Leahy's grandson. He is the football player there. He just signed on this year with the team, and so we'll be seeing him in the near future playing with the Coug football team. JP, congratulations. The next photo is Sherry Bissell's Coug golf cart, and she was really sad that she could not be here, but she wanted me to let everybody know that every time she sees one of those purple golf carts on the field, that they race and the Coug cart always wins. So thank you, Sherry. The next slide, the large photo with the 2 girls with President Schultz, that is Doug and Darlene Picotti's nieces, Madeline and Elizabeth, and this was at a Rotary meeting a couple years ago. Madeline has also just graduated as magna cum laude in Carson College of Business. The Picotti family has about 40 years of history and alumni with WSU and at least 3 generations. So that's pretty amazing. The other photos on there are some of the other supporters, as we know the Bleasner family and some of the other people that are Coug alumni. Bleasners and Picottis have been having a lot of fun at the football events. Jennifer and Terry Bleasner are alumni. They met their senior year at WSU, and they will be celebrating their 25th anniversary next month. So congratulations to them. Also in those photos are their daughter Katie, and she's currently in her 3rd year at WSU, and their son Aiden will be starting in the fall of 2022. So they look forward to that. So the next slide, I don't really like to talk about myself, but I would be a terrible mother if I didn't talk about my husband's son, Brian, who is a pretty amazing kid, and I'm really lucky to be able to call him my son now also. So Brian is the starting center for WSU. He has 2 more years of play left. And he just finished his bachelor's degree in history. He has 2 years because he was a red shirt. And he's going to continue on and do 2 more years and get a degree in business. After that, I was really happy to hear that Coach Rolo has been confusing him with the other Brian Green, because he hopes to go on and have a graduate assistant coaching position and then finish a master's after his 2 years of play. So hopefully maybe he's got a little bit of an in, since he gets confused already with a coach, even though it's baseball. So anyway, thank you for all of the support. And we know that the Rotarians that are Cougs here, we know where they are going to go, and we hope to go to football next season, of course, because Cougs always know how to find their way back home.
Bravo, bravo. So next week's program, we're going to be joined by Central Washington University President Jim Gaudino and Dr. Larson, who are going to be talking about the transition of leadership and working through COVID. Following that, another program with an educational theme, Mick Hoffman with the WIAA. And on the 10th of June, our vocational scholar for you. Now, before we adjourn, I was remiss in doing this last week, but as you can tell from being in the room and on Zoom, these meetings are exceptionally complicated to produce now. And we have a dedicated team that is showing up here very early to get set up and to run through it. And even though it goes perfectly on that run through, inevitably computers crash, technology sometimes goes sideways. But I would like to thank Carolyn, Lorna, the Convention Center and Center Plate staffs, and also Dr. Dwayne Monick, who deserves a standing ovation, please. Indeed, these are very complicated meetings to produce. There are input and output and audio and video and Zoom 1, 2, and 3. So again, we thank you. And we're looking for some apprentices that would like to study under Dr. Monick's leadership and to start learning to take over some of these skills. So if you know anyone that knows how to operate some sound and video equipment, please let us know. And with that, we are officially adjourned. Have a wonderful afternoon.